Hello and welcome. It's Friday, approximately 4 o'clock. We're here at RCO Network, Robert Morales, coming at you live, talking about life things and things that are going on. We have our special host or co-host today, guest perhaps, a speaker who's going to be talking at our October event. So if you want to buy tickets, the link is below. I'll be mentioning that throughout the show. But to no extent, to no other, Mr. Bacon Steve.
Hello.
You're jumping ahead there. Yeah, he's here.
And you know, when I introduce myself, I love to go, "What's happening, family? It's your coach, Steve Bacon." That's my tag, man. That's my tag.
You know, the one thing I had kind of like in the back of my mind, I'm like, is he related to Kevin? Is there like any kind
I
of?
wish I was related to Kevin Bacon. Like, I get that all the time, and if my Hollywood dreams would come true a lot faster if I find out that we are related somehow.
You been in show business before? Or?
I have never. Well, it depends on the type.
Well, you're on show business now.
What type of show business we talking about? Because my 20s was wild.
Dude, that you remember.
Parts that I remember.
Oh boy, I'm so glad that we have Steve Bacon here, Master Life Coach. He's going to be at participating in our event on the 20th at 5:30. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. You know, the link is below for Eventbrite. Tune in and come see him live on the 20th. Sir, I'm so glad you're a part of this.
I am too, and I truly am grateful for the invitation. It means a lot because money we can always get back, time we cannot. And so anyone who's willing to sit and listen and take their time away from their family, their businesses, whatever it is, to listen to whatever wisdom I have to give, it means a lot to me, and I don't take it for granted.
Yeah, and you know, in my experience, in the things I've been through, I don't know if I've told you everything, and we've had a few conversations this week.
Right.
But you know, one thing that I want to do and continue to do is provide an experience. You know, and hopefully those are good experiences. Have somebody kind of like, especially like this room. You know, it's not. This room wasn't designed around. You know, I need to be. Do better camera work. I don't need to have a better show. It's like I want to create an experience for somebody else so they feel like they're separated from their day-to-day life.
Right.
They can walk away and be like, oh, wow, I was really a part of something that was bigger than me, more significant. And I think that's really the goal in my life, is to create that sense of like accomplishment, that sense of success, even if it's in a very minute sense, even if it's just coming in and doing a podcast.
Right.
You know, just stepping away from themselves for a day and like, oh my God, I felt really good about that.
Yeah.
You know, is there something to that? I mean,
You know what? The reason why I love you, Robert, is because of your heart.
Oh boy.
And no, seriously, it's your dedication to service is remarkable, and I mean that with every fiber of my being.
I appreciate that.
That's the reason why I was so attracted to you when we first met. Right? Is because I saw your heart, I saw what you were trying to build, and I was like, that's what I'm about. I value the exact same thing, service.
I appreciate that.
Right? And as I think it was Zig Ziglar who says, service to many leads to greatness. And I truly believe that your greatness is coming because of your dedication to serve your community and helping these entrepreneurs who are trying to figure it out, because there's a lot.
You know, and I found like the common denominator is having that support system.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really go to your parents if you are lucky enough to have parents still. You can't really go to the people around you in the immediate sense because they just don't get it.
Right.
You know, this environment, this group, this network is all established with that idea of like, hey, there's somebody out there who is on that path similar to where you're at. Because I will tell you, the day that I started my own business, my dad, you know, he wasn't very direct. He didn't say, son, you know, you shouldn't do that. It was more of like the subtle, like undertones, like, well, you know, you won't have insurance. And, you know, if you do this, you're not going to make that much money, son. You know, it's like, all I wanted to hear from him was just like, son, we'll be here. Go for it. You'll be fine. I believe in you. It's all, you know, it's all you want to hear.
Right.
But, you know, when you can create an environment with other people who are like that just need that little bit, that platform, that place to go and feel a little like safe and secure, that's ultimately the goal from what I'm trying to do here.
Well, let me touch on that for a second, because I meet a lot of entrepreneurs, and I used to be in network marketing. Yeah. And from the stage, we used to speak, and this is before I understood life the way I understand it now. Yeah. From stage, we used to speak, you know, it's the people closest to you that will hate on your dreams, right? It's the people closest to you that will talk you out of it.
Yeah.
And it's not that's not wrong. What is wrong, or I don't agree with now, is what the intention is of those people.
Yeah.
Right? It's not necessarily that they're just hating on you. They're scared for you.
Yeah.
It's love. Them actually trying to talk you out of it is actually the highest form of love.
Yeah.
Not hate. Because then the world they grew up in, especially if you have older parents or older generation, the world they grew up in, nobody was a business owner. Everybody got a job, did what they had to do to survive. What you're talking about is going completely off script from the life that they were sold, right? They bought and sold this version of life. And as parents, they're like, this is what I know works. This is all I know. So when you're talking about going off script, you literally send them into a spiral. Yeah. So they're trying to talk you out of it, not because they don't want you to succeed. That's actually what they want for you. And they think that this new route that you're going, that they're unfamiliar with, that they can't help you with, that they've heard horrible stories about, they feel that this is going to lead to your demise. So they try to talk you out of it and pull you back to the way they know how life works.
Isn't it funny how life is so visceral like that?
Yeah.
You know, people just go off of feelings more than they do really logic and reality. But then, you know, we think logically, but then we react emotionally to a lot of things. And like, yeah, I get it now. I mean, at the time, I was so distraught, and I didn't bring really anything up to him. Like, I was so hesitant to even tell him about my divorce when I was going through there. You know, with him, it's like you can't bring up those subject matters. Because the first thought is like, if I tell my dad, hey, Dad, I'm going through a divorce, he'd be like, well, son, you didn't give enough sex to her or what? Like, he's like, that's the wrong thing to say. Why would you say that? That's so counterintuitive. Like, you know, that's a long story. But, you know, so, yes, I do agree. It's not until you get to a point where, you know, you're stronger for yourself do you realize that, yeah, it is their own fear. And I think part of it, possibly for him anyway, it's like, man, if he fails, then I have to support him through that failure too. And I'm like, you know, I think part of it was selfish on his end, where like, if he had to like support me, then one, it's a failure on his end because he's my dad, you know, supposedly, you know, like, he's supposed to like help me grow up and be this bigger person than him. But to take on the responsibility of having to take care of me again, I think that was the other fear, you know. But you know, it's
don't more about what you just said though. Yeah. What does this mean about me as a father?
Yeah.
Right? Nothing in life has meaning except the meaning we choose to give it. And everyone's taking life personally. The thing is that we want other people to think about us, but other people think about us just as much as we think about other people. Listen to that and sit with that for a second. If you're listening, if you're watching.
Yeah, we're watching you.
Other people think about you just as much as you think about them. But we judge other people solely based on their actions, and we judge ourselves solely based on our intentions for the same stuff. So someone comes and says, well, why are you ain't thinking about me? And you're just like, I'm in my own world. You know, I have a lot going on. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. And you expect them to understand.
Yeah.
But then when you go ask someone, how come you're not considering me? And they tell you the exact same thing. It's just go, nope. You just don't care. You just don't care. So that's part of the human condition, is that we judge other people based on their actions and we judge ourselves based on our intentions for the exact same thing. So he is sitting there going, well, what does this mean about me? He's not thinking about you at all. He's thinking about himself as a father and his identity. And this is the one thing I was supposed to do right, is to get my son on track. This was the promise that I made to myself. This was the promise that I made to my wife. And now he's 40 years old moving back into the house. Where did I go wrong?
I was pretty close to 40. I was 35. Pretty close. Yeah.
But that's the things we don't consider, is that people aren't thinking about us.
Yeah. And you know, as we get into this a little bit more, we're already like 10 minutes. We're already like a third of the way through.
We knew this was going to happen. Right?
I know. I appreciate Steve too. I mean, he, you know, a part of my journey is to seek out people who are at the same level and have the same thought processes. And you don't run across a lot of people who can separate from their emotion and really dissect it, really understand it. You know, and I see you as a part of that journey, you know, somebody that can just, you know, step away and not necessarily manipulate, but definitely change the trajectory in which you're heading. And those are the people I want to surround myself with. To be honest, I don't really have that many friends, you know, and the friends I do have aren't necessarily like in depth, you know, like, you know, some of the conversations I wish I could have, I really can't have because it's like, it's too deep. And,
Right.
you know, most people operate on this superficial level, and it's not to say that's bad.
Right.
You know, it's just, you know, you go through work, you go through life, and you're not really taught anything different. And I go through this all the time. You know, I tell people all the time where your early indoctrination, you're told to sit down, shut up, turn around, do your work.
Yeah.
From like kindergarten, age 5, shut up, sit down, turn around, do your work. When you get up to like 18, you go start your first job, sit down, turn around, shut up, do your work.
Yeah.
Even in like, that's all you know. So all you know is control.
Yeah.
But when you're given the ability to control your own life, when you're given the ability to make your own decisions, it's like, wow, this is really unfamiliar.
And uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you start projecting out. You start projecting out different ways. Some people, if you, you know, you could either be avoidant, where you just totally avoid, or you could be, you know, more anxious, where you're just being angry all the time.
Yeah. It's
John Bowlby.
that indoctrination thing that you just talked about. I tend to share with my clients. It's like, you ever notice how all your friends are on a conveyor belt? They're just like on this life conveyor belt. They go to school, they get the grades, they get out, you know, they get a good job, they have a good time in college, then they graduate from college, and then they meet that person, and then maybe they have a baby before, they have a baby after, but then they get engaged, and then it's the first house, and then it's the baby shower, and then it's the gender reveal. You ever notice how all of your friends on Facebook or Instagram have literally this conveyor belt mentality?
Yeah.
But that's fitting into society. The challenge is the reason why most people are running around depressed is because that's not who we are naturally. Right? There's a reason why Jesus said the kingdom belongs to the children. And I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in him as a master teacher.
Yeah.
The kingdom belongs to the children. Well, what does that mean? That sense of freedom. That age 0 to 4, that's the original design of the human being.
Yeah.
That's the original design. Free thinking, loving, decisive, helpful, imaginative. Like, I did a post where I listed all of these qualities of a child. And I said, what would your life be like as an adult you went back to these qualities? Not being childish, but being childlike.
Yeah.
Right? That's the part of you that gets beat out of you.
Yeah.
When you become a square peg trying to be fit into a round hole to fit into society, because everything that's great about you, you've been told that that's dangerous, that you'll fail at life being that way. And then we wonder why people grow up and become depressed. When I was reading the book Happy Pocket Full of Money, the author said, depression comes from suppression of the soul's desires. There's a reason why that child put the mud in their hairs, because their soul told them to. So it's entrepreneurs, it's people who are trying to regain control and become childlike again.
Well, and that's kind of like emulates what Facebook is all about. I mean, people put the best photos of themselves, going on vacation, free, almost like they have endless money all the time. It's just crazy what people portray on there. But all that really, again, emulates that childhood, that feeling of like just letting go, those kind of like emotional reactions. You know, I don't know about the crying and stuff, but that's part of it too.
But that's what I'm saying, that being the childlike versus childish.
Yeah.
Childlike meaning the characteristics. Like, for instance, failure.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me watching a child go through failure, but they don't consider it failure. They just do whatever it is that they want to do until they don't feel like doing it anymore, or they get it the way they want it. And then when they feel like changing, they go on to something else.
Yeah.
But in society, we call that failures and quitters. We make people feel bad about their natural tendency to just stop when they feel like stopping, or say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, and move on to something else. That's our natural tendency. That is I think I heard it was Sadhguru who said, our minds are created for exploration, not conclusion. Don't come to conclusions. Just be open. And when you see people trying to find themselves, and they're going from one business to the next. They're trying to find the thing that connects with them. Why are we making them feel bad for that? That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you just jump from one business to the next. Well, they're trying to find the thing that connects with them the most.
Yeah.
So they're trying stuff out just like every other child.
Yeah.
The other thing about failure, and I'll wrap this part up, is that we've never even understood what failure was until grade school.
Until you get that first report card?
Exactly. Because before that, you just tried. And everybody was like, oh, at least you tried. You put in good effort. But then in grade school, they started putting numbers and letters next to your name. And depending on which one you got, you were either punished or rewarded. And because we're pain and pleasure creatures, you learn 10,000 hours from K through 12. You learn to avoid getting things wrong. And then you get out into the world and then they go, don't fear failure. And you're just like, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. For 10,000 hours, you just made me afraid to get things wrong or I'd be punished. And now you're telling me to go and fail my way forward? Absolutely not.
Come and see Steve on October 20th. That was my segue into that. So we're at the 15-minute mark. Can you believe that? It goes that quickly. So come and see Steve here on October 20th. Your tickets are just below there. There is a coupon code, I think 10 for the win. Or I don't remember what the coupon code was, but come and see him live here at our CEO Network. If you're a small business entrepreneur looking to expand and looking to connect with genuine people like Steve, come and join us on the 20th, sir.
It's going to be a great event.
It always is. So do you have a blue suit, by the way?
I do have a blue suit.
It's going to be a blue and white ball.
Oh, perfect. I'm glad you said something.
We decided that yesterday.
Okay.
So I went out yesterday.
I need to go get it fitted, though, because I lost a bunch of weight.
Oh, you lost? Oh, shit.
I'm sexy now.
I got COVID weight. Yeah.
I'm sexy now.
I was going to say something, but...
You see the muscles. You see them.
Yeah, look at that.
You see them. Yeah, you see them.
Yeah. we can zoom in, too, but... Tell me a little bit about like your trajectory and kind of what your accomplishments, what you want to do with what you're doing, because a lot of what I see in the business is really serving people.
Yeah.
And I think once you get to that point in life, I've had 2 lives. I had everything before in my marriage, had divorced, lost everything, lost my career. I had a very fulfilling career in social services. Would I do it again? The challenging part was, yes, the emotions, helping people through that process, because it was child social services.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that again, but I wouldn't necessarily do it again.
Yeah.
Because it is overwhelming at times. And I love that I have this second life, and I realize that I gain more from serving people. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't seem so at first. You know, because a lot of it is like they don't trust you. But a lot of it, too, is that you haven't really trusted yourself. You haven't found the confidence yet to really develop and really share a message, because you're still trying to figure out what that message is. Because so many people want to start a business. They're like, I have a great idea. I'm going to change the world. Well, how are you going to do that? I don't know. But I want to change the world. Okay, okay. So it's not until you go off and figure that part out until you find yourself. But in terms of what you're doing, who is Steve Bacon?
Thank you for asking.
Is that too big of a question?
No.
We're getting ready there.
It's not a big question. It's just me putting it in the Reader's Digest version, because I can go.
Well, we only have 12 minutes.
Exactly. So who is Steve Bacon? Let me share with you guys how I got to where I am so you understand why my passion for what I do is so strong. I was born in 1984 in Hayward, California. Right during the crack epidemic. My mom got addicted to crack 6 months after I was born. I went to 14 schools as a kid as a result. Molested as a kid. Met my father when I was 8 years old, at least that I can consciously remember. Just unbeknownst took me from being with my mom to living with him, which created a lot of resentment and anger issues that I can get into at the event if necessary.
I've been there myself. So yeah. That's okay.
And, at 14, went back to live with my grandmother. 17, went to the military, figuring if I get away from everybody, then all of my trauma would go away. But unfortunately, wherever you go, there you are. And 17 years old, married the first girl who said she loved me, mentally, physically, and emotionally abused her until she got the courage to leave, and rightfully so. But then I was still stuck with all this pain, and I put a loaded gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger out of depression. And the only thing that saved me was God. That is the only thing I can tell people, because it didn't go off. And it was instant regret. I realized I didn't want to die. I just didn't know how to live. But I also still didn't know what to do with all this stuff that I was feeling. So I started drinking, got in trouble with the law, became a felon at 19 years old, and then got married again at 20. And in between 19 and 20, I met this guy named Hank who was like, even though you are a felon now, you can still write your own ticket if you become an entrepreneur. And I was like, okay, because I knew two things. One, I didn't want to live like a felon because I tried to avoid that my whole life. And two, I didn't want to work for pennies at like some restaurant or something like that, and I was too pretty for construction. So
I believe that. He's got muscles too.
Exactly, right? So he's introduced me to entrepreneurship, and then he says, but who you become as a man will determine how far you go as an entrepreneur. And that's when he introduced me to personal development. He said, if you just change how you see yourself, your whole life will change. Well, 18 years later, I run a international coaching company. We're approaching $500,000 a year in revenue. I'm married to my beautiful wife, who I've never laid a hand on besides the bedroom, if you know what I mean.
Do I know what you mean?
Do you?
I don't know if we want to get into details on that, but that could be a follow-up show.
I've built an incredible business, an incredible life. My father and I, we built our relationship. It's incredible. My mother and I, before she passed, incredible relationship. And I've healed from 99% of the things that happened to me as a child. So I'm one of the most emotionally healthy people you'll meet. That is the reason why I do what I do, is because it's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you believe you're not. And there's nothing wrong with you other than the fact that you believe something's wrong with you. And I realize that most people have no idea how their belief system works because that's not taught in school. And I have clients, personal clients, who are PhD doctors of psychology and can't explain the human belief system to me, right? So I find it interesting that that's the one thing that drives human behavior in the least thing that people are educated on.
Yeah.
So I became an expert in human belief system, and so I help my clients understand themselves at a level that they never understood themselves and who they've been being, and then completely reinvent and create themselves into the man or woman they need to be in order to accomplish whatever it is that they want to accomplish in life.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that people can be well-read and have all this education, but not really know how to facilitate life. I am thankful for the experiences I had because I got very real, visceral. A lot of the stuff I've learned through school, I was able to apply in real life in the situations I was in. So that's a benefit. And not a lot of people get those benefits.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people understand how emotions function. Part of my job before was assessing behaviors to predict outcomes, which in that case is like if a child is exposed to abuse, given the situation, given the scenario, they're going to continue abuse. So I therefore have to remove them from the home. Yeah. That was my job, but the application of that and the realization of what people learn and how it's applied is very different. I've come across a lot of people who are well-read, but they haven't had the life experiences to really articulate that, to really connect with people. It's almost like, a muscle guy that's all buffed up but doesn't know how to fight. Right. Just looks like he does.
That's me. Wait. That's me.
Oh, you haven't seen Steve when he fights.
That's me.
He fights very girly like. I won't get into it. That's a different show. But it's amazing to me that people can't apply that and they avoid it. I think for the most part, people just avoid negative emotions.
Yeah. Well, that's because they've been taught to do that. Yeah. Put frosting on dogs, right? Just cover up what's feeling negative with some positive affirmation BS. And people just been conditioned that way. But on top of that, wisdom doesn't come with age or education.
Yeah.
Wisdom comes from reflection, right? If you're not reflecting on all of your past decisions and why you made those decisions and going deep into the emotions and belief system that created that decision, if you're not going into that, then no, you're not gaining any wisdom.
Yeah.
But all of the negative emotions that people feel, it's just wisdom waiting to be learned because your mind can't hold on to a negative emotion and a positive understanding at the same time. So if you go actually investigate that negative emotion and find out what the positive lesson is in that, now you've gained wisdom and you let the emotion go. But most people are so afraid to go after the negative emotions, they just learn to avoid it and then wonder why they get sick or their lives never get better. But let me tell you something. There's two parts to fear. There's the emotion or the sensation of the fear, and then there's the actual thing you're afraid of. Most people are still looking to their past through a child's eyes. That's why they still feel like a child at 45 years old when they're thinking about that past event. But if the same thing were to happen to their niece or nephew or brother or sister or daughter while they're an adult, they would never allow the child to look at the situation the same way they did, because they're an adult now and they have more perspective. So the only difference is no one's ever done for them what they would do for their little niece or nephew.
Yeah.
No one's ever shifted their perspective and gave them a new meaning. So they're 45, 50 years old, still feeling the same way.
The ultimate power I think anybody can have, and we're going to be wrapping up because we're like 4 minutes away.
Yeah.
The ultimate power anybody can have is choice.
Yeah.
You know, we are so much a being or people that have to deal with circumstance rather than actively making a choice. And it's having a choice that's really the toughest part in life. Mm. You know, especially like when you're understanding an emotion, understanding where those feelings come from, and then you choose to continue the same behavior. Mm-hmm. That is, well, that's subjugating to the power. But to be ultimately in control of your life is to look at those situations, truly learn from them, not say that superficially, I learned, I went through all this experience, and then repeat the same action again. But to be given the choice and to actually make it, owning up to that, taking that responsibility, I think is a heavy weight for anybody to.
Well, that's pride and ego, though. That literally is pride and ego. Yeah. Most people are committed to being right than they are to healing. That probably just punched somebody in the stomach, and I meant to do that.
Yeah.
You're more committed to being right than you are to healing. Because one of the things about healing is you have to be willing to be wrong. Not wrong about what happened, but wrong about what you made it mean and why it happened. If you're not willing to be wrong about those things and you're just more committed to your perspective as a child, then you will forever carry whatever it is that you're carrying.
Oh boy. Yeah. There's so much to go through, and we're at the end of the show. So Ramona's on. Thank you for joining us, Ramona. If you have any questions, you can actually come to the event. I don't know if you're coming or not, Ramona. I mean, it's great to see you online, but it's even better to see you in person. Tiffany, thank you for the comments. Follow Steve. I'm going to post some stuff here, but October 20th, you're going to be here live.
Yes.
Get to know Steve in person, get to know his philosophy, get to know him, and, just he likes to be himself, which is kind of fun. Follow Steve if you go to his Facebook. Here you go. That's where we're on right now. So Facebook, if you go to bacon.bits.5, that is his name.
I don't know why it says that on Facebook.
I don't know either. Somebody messed you up or something. But go to Facebook right now. Follow Steve on there. Click on add a friend. Oh, look at, I need to add that. Look at, add a friend right there. I put my friend request in today, live on the show. Also follow Steve at Instagram. Coach Steve Bacon is his Instagram. You can also go to his main website, which is just got redone.
Yeah.
CoachSteveBacon.com, and find a little bit more about Steve. It's a great website. I kind of looked over it briefly. You just mentioned it, but a lot to learn there. Some of the main things that you provide as far as services go, sir. I mean, it's not just coaching though, right?
Yeah, we do speaking engagements. We do groups. I serve however I need to serve. But
Perfect.
Mainly coaching.
So again, go to what's the main one? Coach Steve Bacon.
CoachSteveBacon.com.
So
and my social media handles are there, so you can find it as soon as you click onto the website.
So if you weren't available or able to see the whole show today, go over to hit rewind and watch the show. But go to CoachSteveBacon.com and learn a little bit more about Steve, or purchase your tickets at the bottom of the screen because we are selling tickets to meet Steve in person. October 20th at 5:30 at RCO Network and our event. Sir, you get the floor for the last word as we wrap up today.
I am more adorable in person than I am on this podcast, so come meet me.
Oh, boy.
October 20th.
Well, if you must, yes, I do agree. So. There we go. Yeah, I do agree with that. Anyway, get the last word. We're wrapping up, sir.
I'm going to repeat the same thing I said. It is not who you are that holds you back. It's who you believe you're not. So the minute we log off, I want you to ask yourself, think about everything you want to accomplish in life, and then ask yourself, who do I believe I'm not? Start there. That's the work you need to do.
Perfect. Well said. So we'll be catching you guys on October 20th. Our next show, Monday Market 15, will be here on Monday at 2 o'clock, roughly. Ashley gets here whenever she gets here. But join us here at rconetwork.com. Go to us at RCO Network, basically everywhere, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We're all over the place. But we'll catch you guys next time.
Catch you next time.
I forgot to play the ending. Whatever.
This is so nice.
We'll see you guys.